Hi again. This video is for 8-2, multiplying a polynomial by a monomial. If you have not started this assignment yet, I recommend you look over these examples and then watch this video and then go ahead and try to do the homework that goes with it. Okay, I'm going to post an extra video after this one that goes over one of the homework problems that does not have an answer in the back of your book. So we're multiplying and not adding and subtracting like 8-1. They're jumping to multiplying. So before we left Baker, we were reviewing these laws of exponents. So I wrote down a couple of things that I wanted to look at with you. X to the third power times x to the fourth would be x to the seventh, because of this, right? X to the third means x times x times x times x to the fourth, which means x times x times x times x. That makes x to the seventh power. So reminder, the quick way to do that is just add the exponents, okay? So it gets a lot more involved with that, but I wanted to make sure you just understood that basic idea before we jumped to some more difficult ones. So getting a little bit more involved, here's another example I wanted you to look at. We have a monomial times a monomial. You're going to be doing a lot of that in this lesson. So I broke it apart to show that really, these parentheses don't really mean anything. All it is a whole bunch of multiplication. And I kind of marked them like, kind of marking like terms, even though that's not what these really are. But just showing you that -3 you can multiply with 7. And then x squared can be multiplied with x cubed to get that. Remember, because you just add the exponents for multiplication. So all of these problems in 8-2 lesson involved, as the title says, multiplying a monomial by a polynomial. Okay, this is actually called a trinomial. Polynomial is just the overall word that you can use for any kind of monomial, binomial, trinomial. Okay, I did not work this one out. I was going to do that one with you, then just show you some more examples. So I actually took this example. It is from example 1 in your book. I have 3 examples I'm going to work on with you right now, and each one gets a little bit more involved. So I highly recommend that you walk through these and watch these with me. So we have to go do what we did up here 3 different times. Okay, this 5a squared has to be multiplied by this term, and this term. So we're distributing out, like I show you with my arrows all the time, we're distributing out the 5a squared to all 3 of these terms. So just to start with this first term here, we'd have -20, because that's 5 times -4, and then it would be a to the fourth, again, because we're adding these exponents. And then when we distribute out the next to the next term, we'd have 10, because that's 5 times 2, and then that has an exponent of 1, so this is going to be a to the third. And then lastly, so it'd be -35, and then a squared. So that's the basic idea of what you're doing in this lesson on multiplying with polynomials. All right, so another example from the next example 2, you can see is already getting a little bit more involved. You have 2 sets of distributing to do, and then after you do that, there's actually going to be like terms that you have to combine, which is review from 8-1 lesson. So I worked out a little bit ahead of time just for the sake of time. Stop this video at any time if you're kind of working through it and want to see what you can do without me. Okay, so I just distributed each, 3 out to all those terms, and then -x, be careful with that one, -x out to all these terms. So look at my signs here. I'm going to have a -7x to the third power, a -2x squared, and then look, this will become a positive because I have a negative x times a negative 3, so I'll become a positive 3x. So then back to what you did in lesson 8.1, I went and marked the like terms that we have. Remember, not everything's going to have a like term. You just find what you can and mark those. So the x squareds are like, the x's are like, and that's all we have. Then you can just combine those, and that's all you can do. You cannot combine any of these anymore because none of those are like. Remember, like terms have to have the same variables raised to the same power. So that would be the answer to that one. Alright, and then the last one that you're going to have to do, you have some homework problems that where you're given equations now. So all the ones before this were just expressions. So when you do the last set of homework problems, they're going to be equations that you are expected to solve. So your answers are going to be like x equals 3 or something like that. You're not going to have big polynomials for your answers for these. So if they give you an equation and it says solve, this is what you're going to do. Okay, so for this example 4 in your book, this is an example from that. I went and distributed out d here, and then don't forget that's a negative d there. And I came up with d squared, because d times d is d squared. Don't write 2d. That would be d plus d, okay? Plus 3d minus, again, you have d squared. And then this would be plus 4d, because we have a negative d times a negative 4. Okay, and then I just copy down the rest of the equation. So, from there, I have like terms, so we're getting into when we solved multi-step equations, right? You can go combine like terms. The d squareds actually cancel out, right? D squared minus d squared. So all I have here is 7d. Okay? And then when you have d on both sides, you need to move them together. Like, that's the process of solving an equation, right? Move the like terms together on one side. So I moved 90 over by subtracting 90. And I had negative 2d equals negative 16. And last step then, to get d alone, to get rid of multiplying by negative 2, you need to divide by negative 2. And you'd have d equals 8. So again, go try the homework now, and go try even number 30, and I will come back on with another video on how to work through number 30.